We are live once again for Monday Marketing Magic. I am so excited. Always coming on here Mondays. There's so much that I've been processing and downloading, conversations that I've been having, and just quiet moments of looking inside and thinking, believing, questioning, doubting, analyzing. And I get to come on here on Mondays and share with you the weekly episode. And with that being said, take a moment, drop into the heart, a few deep breaths. And then as you're ready, a big, deep breath in. When you're ready, you can grab your journal, a pen, a notebook if you're in a place that you can write these things down. We remember so much more and have the ability to take action, aka implement, when we write things down. If this is your first time listening, I would love for you to share where you're coming in from, where you're at in growing your business, and how you found this space. It means the world to me that if you are here and you are listening, that you engage, you connect. I want to know who you are, what it is that you do, what your goals are. This isn't meant to be a one-sided conversation. And in any way in which that makes you feel comfortable, that makes you feel safe, whether you're in the Facebook group and you're writing in the comments, you're listening to this on the podcast and you're tagging us on Instagram in a private message where it's just you and me. It's irrelevant on how you do it. Thank you so much for being here and for showing and sharing your presence. There's a few things that have come up for me over the weekend. And the first thing that came to my mind was the identities that we have to let go of or transform out of when we want to grow to our next level. And the first example that really came to my mind was when I was a yoga teacher transpiring into an online coach. I would never set out to be a coach. That was not my intention. I had a dream and a desire to reach more people and impact more lives living in the jungles of Costa Rica. And the only thing I thought of is how can I reach more people on Instagram to have a bigger impact? When I set out to ask a friend who wasn't a marketing manager, and she had helped one of my friends grow her business from like nothing to millions. And I was like, hey, what can I do? Can you help me? And she recommended this guy, Ryan Rockwell. And when I looked him up on the internet, I found a webinar at the time, 4 years ago, 2019. I knew nothing about online sales, marketing. I had no idea what a webinar was. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. This webinar led to a sales call. The sales call led to a conversation where the night I had the sales call, I did not sleep. He asked me, like, if you could enroll 3 to 5 students every single month, would you still do yoga teacher trainings? Would you still lead retreats? And I was like, of course I would. Like, that's my passion. That's my purpose. Little did I know I was going to be in lockdown in India at an Ayurvedic ashram during the COVID-19 lockdown, where all I had was my computer and this outline that Ryan Walkwell taught me and the Grow Yoga Biz at the time, who has transformed into modern yoga teacher. That's when I was an accidentally born coach, and I would not call myself a coach for years. It didn't resonate with me. And this is where the first thing I realized is as we're growing to our next level, there's going to be identities that we don't necessarily resonate with. And this is something that happens like when we're married and we're going to be divorced, and to use like, I'm divorced. I'm single. Those identity shifts, like it moves something inside of our body. And the same thing for me when I was like, I'm a coach, I'm not a coach. And this is something that's happening right now with one of my clients inside of Amplified Impact. And she doesn't feel comfortable yet calling herself a coach. So instead, she came up with something that felt better, that felt more aligned. And it was your accountability partner. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's what I used to call myself when I was helping other people to create a yogic lifestyle. It's like, I'm your accountability coach. I'm your number one cheerleader. It doesn't matter what you call yourself. These identities and these labels, we can get so attached to being or to losing. And the truth is there's only one thing that's constant in our entire lives, and that is change. And it's the most uncomfortable thing, especially when we put these labels on ourselves, and especially when society puts different labels higher up on the spectrum. And then at the end of 2022, there was a lot happening within coaches that I was following. There was a lot of judgment, there was a lot of projection, there was a lot of anger, there was a lot of garbage being thrown around. And I had to come back into myself and ask myself, like, do I want to be in the coaching industry? Is this who I want to be? And then I realized, like, doesn't matter who you are or what industry you're in. I remember when I first did my yoga teacher training and we went to the ashram up in the Netherlands of Colorado, and there was drama there and there was identity crisis there. And I was like, it doesn't matter what industry you're in, yoga, coaching, business, entrepreneurship, at a real estate office, we are humans. People are going to like us and people aren't. And so when you're growing to your next level, one of the things you have to get comfortable with is losing, changing, shifting your identities and what you call yourself. And at first, when you're like, married, I'm married, that rolls off in this way that feels like I'm a mother. Like when I say I'm a mother, I still freak out, like, I'm a mother. These identities that we identify with or we can't yet identify with. What if we forget the identities and it's not about what you call yourself, but it's how you live and lead your life? This is something that feels really good for me, is like, forget the labels. Who am I minus the label? Who am I and what do I stand for? Because that's so more important than what you call yourself. And of course, I was just doing these Instagram audits on my Instagram for other clients. And the top line where it says your name and it's bold, this is Instagram's search engine. So yes, you do want to put something there that could be searchable for your dream soulmate client. And you're so much more than your Instagram bio or your label. It's who are you? And for me, embodiment is so freaking important. Being the embodiment of your work, I feel, is what can make us more magnetic. It's like the woman that walks down the road. You're like, she's beautiful. She's confident. She's got it. You have no idea what she's feeling inside. Is she really confident? Does she really know that she's got it? Or is she pretending? Is she struggling inside? We label other people, we identify other people, and we actually don't know what's going on inside of them. So as we're growing to our next level, getting comfortable being uncomfortable, getting comfortable losing, shifting, shaping identities, which leads me into the next reflection that I had over the weekend about growing to our next level. Whether we're starting our business, we're scaling our business, we're deciding we want to shift our entire business and maybe start to work for someone else. You go from business owner to employee, another identity shift. You have to get okay with losing friends, with letting friends go, with shedding. There's a lot of shedding that happens when we're growing for what our heart desires. And that means toxic friendships. I don't know about you, but the first time that I ever really started to get sober and grow into my yoga practice and grow into being a yoga teacher, I stopped drinking. And in that stop drinking, no more partying, I lost so many friends. And that was really hard because some of these friends I had had my entire life. And there was a moment in time where like my sister and I even we didn't relate anymore. And she would tell me I thought I was better than her. And that actually wasn't true. I was just trying to be better than the me I used to be. And oftentimes, if we grow out of a partnership, a friendship, a family member, someone we used to work with, someone we used to work for, someone that we really love so much, there is this identity crisis and this shedding where we want to hold on, but we know that we have to let go. There is the saying that we are like the 5 people that we hang out with the most. And if you want to grow into your next level, that might mean eliminating 3 of those people and coming down to 2. Trusting that the new people will come into your world. It's really important that as we're growing, we find people that are farther ahead of us, that are where we are, that are behind us, so that we can see these different layers and levels of who do they hang out with? What are their concepts? What are their beliefs? What are their habits? How do they live? And so shedding people and letting go of friends can be one of the hardest things that happen when we have this desire of more for our lives, more for ourselves, more for our families. It's letting go of those past people. It's so hard. And it's another identity. It's like, you've been my best friend my whole life. This is my person. We did everything together. I remember I had an 8-year relationship. We were high school sweethearts. I promised myself like I was going to be the one that made it. And after my yoga teacher training, gosh bless my yoga teacher trainings, they always change who I hang out with, what I do, how I feel, what I believe. And this one was leaving that relationship and being so honest. Asteya, not stealing from him. Satya, living my truth. That was hard. But if you want to grow to your next level, if you want to rise, sometimes you don't get to take those people with you. And it's being okay. It's being okay to make that conscious decision before things get ugly, before it becomes resentful, before it becomes toxic. We have to let go. Which then leads me into the third thing, mindset. We have to change our beliefs. In order to grow to what's next, we have to shift what we believe about ourselves, what we believe we're capable of, what we've been told to believe, what society has given us to believe, what our parents have passed down to us to believe. For me, the biggest shift and belief was I was still able and capable of being successful if I didn't go to college. I remember dropping out of college to study yoga. This is exactly what my father did not want. And he made it really clear that if I was going to get married, it should be to someone who went to college. So, what belief did that give me? For me to be successful and for him to be proud of me, I needed to go to college. And yet, I was in college. I had 2 full-time jobs. I was going to school full-time. I had a partner that I'd been with at this point for 6 years. I had a home. I had it all, the picket fence, all of the things. And I was so unhappy. And for me, my mantra was, I just want to be happy. When I found and stumbled upon, or yoga found me, and that was what gave me happiness. That is what gave me fulfillment. And I followed it, even though it wasn't the path. So the mindset and the belief that I was given by my father, I had to let go of it. I had to grow somewhere different. And that was risky and it was scary. And it was like, what will he think? And at the time, I was the hippie flower child that was doing something crazy, selling everything she owned, leaving this relationship to move to another state where I knew absolutely nobody except my sister because she came with me to follow my heart. And then as I continued to grow, I had a lot of mindset shifts I needed to make around money and wanting money. Because if I can have a lot of money, I can donate a lot of money and I can help a lot of people. But for a long time, I had a really negative feeling and energy around money because of trauma in the past. When we want to grow to our next level, it's looking at our beliefs that we have to release and let go of. We have to start to question if that's something that we want to believe in. And sometimes they're ingrained into our subconscious mind, which why a lot of times when I'm working with clients, we do things at the beginning of the day and the end of the day, right before sleep time, to check and see if there are any underlying thoughts, beliefs, stories that are not serving the person that we desire to grow into. And then that leads into the very final part of this reflection where I thought of the 4 things that really have to be looked at and questioned when we're growing to the next level, wherever it is, and that's habits. What habits are we partaking in or not doing that's going to allow us to get to where we want to grow? And sometimes those habits are watching too much TV, scrolling too much on social media, eating while we're on our phones. How are you programming your mind in the morning and in the evening to get to where you want to grow? Like when you close your eyes at night, just before you go into sleep state, just before you tap into the subconscious mind, what's there that you don't know underneath the surface that you've been given up into this time, whatever age you are? What are you thinking? What are you putting and focusing your attention in intention onto? And then in the morning, what is the first things that you desire to do? Do you go get sun? Do you drink water? Do you read? Do you meditate? Do you exercise? Or do you go to your phone? How are you programming yourself for the day? And how are you winding down to program yourself for the night? These habits that we partake in are so important. And then every single thing you do throughout the day. The most successful people in the world have habits that work for them that keep themselves on track. And sometimes habits are harder to break when we've been doing it for a really long time. But what you do every single day, all of your routines, your habits are the accumulation of who you're becoming. And it comes to like this entire conversation is about shedding. We are releasing and letting go of identities, thoughts, beliefs, routines, people, to replace it. When we go on fad diets, we cut out all of these things and it doesn't last. Whereas this time, the shedding and the releasing is to create space to consciously replace. Replace it with something that you want to go to, somewhere you want to grow to. If this conversation does anything for you, hopefully it unlocks anything that maybe you've been knowing it's time to release and you're afraid to let go and create space for something new. Or maybe you've created the space and now there's the void, the space in between letting go of what was to get to where you want to grow. Are you in the midst of being single, taking a break from dating? Are you growing right now your business and you're in the void of getting a consistent paycheck where your business is working to find reoccurring income where it's consistent? And so there's this void of you used to be an employee and you could count on the paycheck. You had a desire to grow to become an entrepreneur. And now there's a little bit of a gap between consistent income and reoccurring income that you've created in your business. That's why, for me, something that I really love to teach and to implement in my own life is reoccurring income from many different revenue streams and not just your business. If you're growing into your business, maybe in the beginning, you do have a side job so that your nervous system feels safe while you're putting into practice the strategies, the mindset, the beliefs to create a consistent income in your business. Use this time after this, wherever you're at, wherever you're listening to and in from, to reflect. on the 4 things that I've shared with you today about growing to your next level. Is right now it's shedding identities and really working to grow into that next identity? Is it friendships, relationships, connection? Who's surrounding you? Who are you? What energy you're in? Is it beliefs? Is there a belief that you're looking to reprogram? Or is it a new habit? Take the time to see where it is that you can focus your attention and intention to this week. And be sure that if this lands with you, screenshot this, share it on social media, tag me, and let me know what you're working into and on. I look forward to celebrating you. Something for me in my life and in my business and just who I am as a friend is a cheerleader. I want to cheer you on. I want to celebrate you. I want to be in your world. And yeah, I look forward to, as I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, just connecting and growing with you deeper, where you're at in the world, where you're at in your business, what your goals are, and to deepen the connection between you and I. All right. I will see you in the next episode. Have a beautiful rest of your day or evening, depending on when you're watching this. Bye bye.